All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to everyone and anyone who is joining us on this LinkedIn Live session. We are so excited to be here to have, I guess, Kwame, we could call it round two, but I'm going to call it round one, really.
Okay, sounds good.
A special time with Kwame on this incredibly important topic, which is money. I'm just going to pause there. Money and communicating around money. I've spent the last week traveling. It feels like from coast to coast. Actually, it is from coast to coast on the East Coast, on the West Coast, talking to people about how to raise money in these times. And we're talking large institutional, we're talking funds, we're talking small to medium businesses. What is it about the world right now that makes it challenging to raise money? A lot of it has to do with how we are showing up and how we pitch and how we are communicating. Communication and coffee is what we're talking about, coffee and comms right now, these mornings, these 20-minute sessions to give you some tips and some tricks around how do we communicate more effectively, particularly when the stakes are high. When we're asking for money, that's high stakes. And Kwame here has been in this situation asking for money for a little bit of time now, raising money for the Black Star Fund, which he will tell you more about. We are so excited to have him here today, and he's going to be taking us through the 5 pillars for how we need to be thinking about pitching for money. So, Kwame, you want to introduce yourself to those who don't know you, and then we'll get into your pillars.
Sure. All right. Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you so much, Jenna. Excited to be here once again for Coffee and Comms. So yeah, I am the founder and managing partner of Black Star Fund, which is a venture capital fund based in Sacramento, California. Our portfolio is throughout the United States, and we invest primarily in African-American-led high-growth companies. Industry agnostic, our companies have raised over $200 million. They are, an incredible group of founders, 50-50 gender parity, which is very unique in our industry. And we've got companies that are doing millions and millions of dollars in annual revenue and have been just really successful in the capital raise. So it's excited today to be with you to share some of the nuggets that we've learned, processes that we've learned, and kind of basics and fundamentals that I think will help our audience today be more effective in raising capital.
Love it, love it, love it. And for those of you who are really more interested in what Kwame is doing, he is telling such an amazing, unique story because he's changing mindset in addition to pitching for dollars. So you do have to tell that story before you even get into some of the tips you're talking to us about today.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, people like metaphors and they like things that they can liken, to in their brain. So what we say is, they said, look, we've created the Motown for venture capital. And just as Motown transformed the music industry with Black artists, Black Star Fund is transforming venture capital with Black innovators. So when we say that, then people go, oh, okay, now I've got a reference point to anchor in. I may not be familiar with your fund and kind of what you do, but I am familiar with Motown. I am familiar with global transformation of the music industry. And this is exciting that you're doing something similar in this venture capital space. I want to know more. Right. So there's storytelling, but there's also kind of like similes and metaphors that help people kind of get grounded in who you are, what you're doing, and where they may want to work with you.
I love it. I love it. The Motown venture capital. I love it. It's so sticky. And, it also kind of gets songs going in your head, too, because you say
exactly.
Motown. Ooh, I'm going to remember this. I'm going to remember this. And being memorable is really important. It's one of the, we'll talk about your pillars next. So let's get into your 5 pillars, and then let's get into them in more detail. And you can tell stories and give us tips and tricks about each of the 5. So these are your 5.
Yeah. Beautiful. Well, let me set the context really quick. There's something that I learned, Jenna, from actually a young man who's very, very successful in the capital raise and had exits. And he taught me this like maybe 6-7 years ago. And he said, Kwame, what I've learned is that if you're having a challenge raising money, it's because either you're saying the wrong thing or you're talking to the wrong people. Mm-hmm. And this light bulb just went off in my head. And I dug deep to try to look at what I was doing and what I needed to adjust. And I had I basically had an epiphany, and then I came up with a methodology. So the epiphany is the game we're playing is actually not kind of pitching for money and really even asking for money. The game we're playing is what I now call money matchmaking. And what that means is you think about like dating, right? It's people always say, let me show you how great I am, so you'll want to go out with me. Well, no, it's not about how great I am. It's about how great I am for you based on what it is that you are looking for, and vice versa, right? So if I'm a great musician, but I'm only making $20,000 a year, and you're looking for somebody who you can build a life with and build a family with and have financial stability, I'm not your guy, right? If that's not what you're looking for, but you're looking for somebody very artistic who can make music and make your heart sing, I'm probably your guy. It's the same thing with this game of capital raise, right? What we're really looking for is my company or my fund, is it of value to you? And you and your capital and your organization, is it of value to me and the fund or the company that I'm building? So the first thing we got to understand is what game we're actually playing. We're playing a money matchmaking game. The second thing, which is what will set us into the pillars, is what language is necessary to play this game. And that language is what we call investor speak. Now, investor speak is based on value proposition. What value are you bringing? And then we'll get into that. So the 5 pillars are really simple. This is what I call Kwame's 5 pillars of the pitch.
Okay, but let me just compliment you for a second, because if we did strength finders right now, yours would be like activator, maximizer, right? I'm sure those are things that you've heard before. Kwame has an idea, he sees something, and then he turns it into a strategy. So I just want to say, like, here we are now. You saw something and you decided to do something with it. Classic. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I wish you were my teacher when I was a child. Okay, so what are the 5 pillars? Number 1, what problem are you solving? Number 2, who has this problem? Number 3, how do you uniquely, that's bold, solve this problem? How does your company monetize solving this problem? And lastly, why are you and your team uniquely qualified to solve this problem? If you have these 5 pillars in your presentation, in your elevator pitch, you will get very, very different results than either the ones you're getting right now or compared to what's happened in the past. So let's go through each one and we'll dig deeper into it and why it's so important. Yeah.
And this is so fun too. I do a lot of volunteer work helping kids, and they're always trying to like launch startups and raise money fictitiously. And this is it's great for everybody. It's great for everybody, from I'm raising 15 million to, hey, I've got a great idea.
Absolutely.
What problem are you solving?
Okay, so a lot of times what happens is entrepreneurs, they've got a product, and the product, they're so obsessed with the product, right? This product is so good and it does all these different things. Okay, but from a business standpoint, we're here to make money. And what we know in the world of business is that the more problems you solve, the more money you make. The bigger problems you solve, the more money there is to be made. So we have to lead with that. So I'll give you an example. One of our companies is called Partake. It's an incredible, healthy, allergy-friendly snack food company. And the founder of that company, Denise Woodard, her and her husband literally almost lost their infant child to a severe food allergy reaction. Okay. Through the grace of God, she was revived and she's healthy and vibrant today as an 8-year-old second grader. But at that time, it was a horrifying experience. Denise went to work to try to figure out how do we she basically did research and found that there was a dearth of healthy, good tasting, safe products for allergy families. And so she went to work to develop a company to do what? To solve the problem that millions of families in the United States have children and loved ones who have severe food allergies, and they need safe, healthy, good tasting snacks. She saw a problem. There was a dearth of products, and then she went to work to solve that problem, right? So, like, what problem are you solving? Now, how does it work and what are the unit economics? I haven't even gotten into any of that yet.
Yeah, right.
Just the fact that I said this was her story and this was the problem.
And
now
let
we're
me
clear.
add something you just did there, which you might not even know that you did, which is you added a level of emotion to that. You know, I went like this as you're telling the story. So if the problem is something that people can feel, it's going to drive more dollar signs.
Absolutely. Now, if I hadn't worked with you, you're right. I would not have known that, but I'm acutely aware of that.
Right? All right. Can we move on to your second pillar?
Of course. Okay. Now, this is really important. A lot of times you'll hear people talk about, well, what's the total addressable market, right? Like how big? Okay. Look, who has the problem?
That's right.
Okay. Is it moms, which is tens of millions of people? Is it young people under the age of 18? Is it college students, right? Is it working people? Like, who has this problem? Is it billions of people worldwide? That's what you want to be able to communicate in this presentation. I would shy away from relying on total addressable market because most of us as investors kind of roll our eyes when we hear that. We need to be able to extrapolate in our own minds. When you tell me with the problem that you're solving, the investor or your potential financial partner, in their mind, they should go, oh, this is going to be huge. This is going to be huge because you're being clear who has this problem. So really, really critical.
And you know what? You're saying the word who, but I want to clarify for everyone listening. It's a person. It's a human, because we hear TAM, right? Like, what's your TAM? What's your market opportunity? That's not a human.
That's
And I
right.
hear character. And
That's
so
right.
when you say a character, when you say that mom who's looking over their child who isn't breathing, right? Okay, again, now it's a human, and I get to see the humans that are partaking in this.
That's exactly right. And this is what I do when I'm saying a pitch, and I hear it's this persona that you're talking about. I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, millions of people have this problem.
That's right.
This is going to be huge. Okay, let's do the next one. Okay, so this is critical, right? This goes to differentiation. How do you uniquely solve this problem, right? What's your magic? What's your technology? What's your differentiator that allows you to solve this in a unique way? Now, isolated, this is no big deal because everybody's going to know. Well, of course, you're trying to sell your product. You have to say how it's different than everybody else. But if you put it in the context of the 5 pillars, you're building a narrative arc, which is really powerful. So what I teach our entrepreneurs, and quite frankly, even folks who are not in the portfolio, I said, look, your job when you're doing this presentation is to basically grab them from slide 1 and keep squeezing as you go through your slides. Mm-hmm. The goal is to get the potential partner to go, this is going to be huge, and I don't want to miss this. So when you get to this point where you're saying how you uniquely solve it, we've got a proprietary SaaS platform. We've got a proprietary technology. We're able to extract this information throughout all social media in nanoseconds based on our proprietary system. The light bulbs go off, the dollar signs start coming into their heads, and they're getting drawn in to not only to hear more, learn more, but they're already starting to think, this is going to be big. Mm-hmm. Not because you told them that, but because you laid this out in such a way that gets them to that conclusion on their own, mm-hmm. which is why the system actually works.
This one is so important. And when I'm on the other side of deal teams that are trying to tell their story, this is the place we spend the most time.
There you go.
Because uniquely is so hard today, right? That one word, like, how are you really different than every other software as a service company out there? How are you uniquely different? And you talked about this at the beginning, how you say we're the Motown of capitalists. Don't throw that away. A lot of times the unique positioning isn't a story. It's in the way that you talk about your product, in the way that you position it, and the fact that they see through your storytelling and through your narrative how this is really different. And not getting complex with like these unbelievable complicated slides. Like, who cares about that? Right?
Right.
We see this all the time.
That's a really, really important point. So, and I think I want to share this too.
Yeah.
There's what I sell now. Blackstar Fund is the same. But what I sell now, as we're in year 5, is somewhat different than what I sold at the beginning. Because at the beginning, I didn't have the fund. I was selling the idea of the fund. Mm-hmm. And I always say, Jenna, it's like, you can make excuses or you can make things happen. So here, you got to use what you have in your hand to create what you want in your life. So if you go back to my deck in 2019, the slides literally said at the top, proposed Blackstar Fund portfolio company. The company I just shared with you, Partake, I've done a training recently where I showed my 2019 slide and my 2023 slide of that company. So this one said proposed, and I just sold what I had. She was in 300 stores and she had this really cool idea and she was trying to get it up off the ground. That's what I had. Fast forward to now, the company's in 10,000 stores. Jay-Z's invested 4 times. Rihanna's an investor. And she's in American Airlines and works with Ben & Jerry's and Marvel and all these other people.
She's at Trader Joe's.
Yeah, all right. Drastically different in terms of progress.
Yeah.
But either way, the story is powerful because, hey, when I'm getting started, I'm saying, hey, I found some superstars. And if you invest with us, I know where that money is going to go. That's what I had. That's what I sold. Now I'm able to say, hey, we found this superstar back in 2017, and she only made $78,000 and she was selling cookies out of a car. Today, she's in 10,000 stores and did $13 million in revenue. We know how to find the superstars. So we say, how are you uniquely able to solve this problem? We know how to find the superstars and we know how to cultivate them and support them and help them grow. And now we've got a track record to be able to prove that.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And for those of you who are not are really struggle with being boastful, because a lot of us are like, oh, I don't want to be boastful. I don't want to say we're so different. We're so different. Frame it in the context of your clients. Frame it in the context of what other people say. Other people tell us that we have this unique ability to find superstars. What I've been told is, what others have seen is, and then sometimes you can feel a little bit more comfortable telling that unique story. All right, post four.
Okay. So how does your company monetize solving this problem? I can't tell you how many times, Jen, I've seen incredible presentations that don't actually get into the revenue model. Right? This is it. This is where the rubber meets the road. If we're talking about a financial partner, somebody's going to write a check and invest with you, take this 2, 3, 5, 7-year journey with you, and you got to sell me at the outset. This is where everything happens. I love this. I see the problem. I know how big it is. I know who has it. I'm intrigued by how you get this unique process or proprietary process to do it. Now, how does this thing make money? What's the revenue model? What are the margins? What's the go-to-market strategy, right? This thing has got to be nailed down. But to your point earlier, it has to be simple. It just has to be simple. This is our revenue model. It's a subscription model. People pay $4.99. We've got 3 different levels. And then we also have additional revenue streams because we're able to sell these data sets to universities, to local, state, and federal governments. And once we've got these data sets, we're going to have a situation where the people who actually use the service can also sell data sets anonymously. Okay, I'm like, oh my God, the price points are affordable. I love the tier system. I love the membership. And I love the fact that now you can also sell data sets to government, to local, to state, to federal agencies, to universities doing research. This is incredible. This is huge. I love the way that you're thinking through all of this. Okay, let's rock and roll, right? So just a very simple thing. We make this product. It costs us this much. This is how much we sell it for. And this is what our profit margin will be over this amount of time. It's critical to understanding the story.
Yeah. And you don't even have to have realized that yet. It's just the fact
that's
that
right.
You're forward and you're thinking, and then, we have the data site, which provides our customers insights that we would never get anywhere else. That's part of that critical part of that story, but keep it simple.
Got it.
Yeah. All right. Número 5.
Okay, numero 5. Now, this one, everybody's different. So just know that what I'm about to say is not how all investors operate. But me personally, number 1, I don't like people sending me decks and say, will you review my deck? I don't actually do that anonymously. I like people to walk me through their decks. However, if I'm sent a deck from somebody who I work with and another investor who's super excited about a deal, I personally go straight to the team page first. Okay. It's so critical to me as an investor of who is the team that's actually going to build this thing out. Right. So why are you and your team uniquely qualified to solve the problem? If we are able to say you've got a unique revenue model and this market is huge, now we got to get to execution. Who are the people on first, second, and third who are actually going to build this thing, execute on this amazing idea, this amazing plan that you have? And why are they best qualified to do it? If we're doing biotech and I don't see any biotech engineers, I don't see anybody from the medical field, I see a bunch of marketers and coders, we have a problem. Right. Because what you're saying is you see an issue in the biotech space, but you don't have biotech experts to help you with that. Yeah. What if your company is really small? It's just you and your partner. Who are your advisors? Who's on your board who has access, who has capital, and who has expertise to be able to make this thing happen, right? It doesn't matter what stage it is, early stage, startup stage, Series A, pre-seed, seed plus, it doesn't matter. What matters is, are you surrounded by a group of people who is uniquely qualified to actually pull this thing off? And so either way, you have to solve for that. If it's just you and a partner, your job is to get your advisory board together to create the value proposition for us as an investor to think, oh my God, this person has the right people around them to make this happen.
Because that demonstrates you as a leader. Like, you being a great leader is finding the right people to help you along the way.
That's exactly right. Because at the end of the day, look, especially in venture capital, they don't micromanage. Like, we don't micromanage the founders, right? So we're trusting that you can figure this out, find those right people, attract those people to make it happen.
Yeah. Final couple comments, because I know you do this, Kwame. I want to just make sure everybody remembers. Practice. You win by an inch, you lose by an inch, you make money by an inch, you lose money by an inch. Read through. What I mean by that is you actually read through what are you going to say, when, how, who's going to ask questions, who's going to answer questions, how are you going to navigate that. Say it out loud, record it into this guy, watch yourself. I know it's painful, but if you're pitching for money, there is nothing more high stakes, because you don't want to walk away from that and say, oh, I wish I would have. What are your final comments for why we should connect with Blackstar?
Sure. Well, there's one final thing I have to make sure that I say.
Okay.
You kind of alluded to this earlier, right? A lot of times these things can seem really complicated and complex. And there's all these different things you have to understand to be able to be effective. But I always tell people this: look, the game that we're talking about, the location may change, the conditions on the field may change, the technology may change, the basics and fundamentals never change. People do business with people they know, they like, and they trust. Point final. Right. So your job as an entrepreneur is to be able to make sure that you're leveraging networks of people that know you, that like you, and trust you. And the hack is, if you don't have this extensive network yet in your journey, that you get connected with people who do have those extensive networks, with people who know them, like them, and trust them. And you're basically riding their coattails because it hacks for time, right? So with Blackstar, the best thing to do, since we're on LinkedIn Live, is just follow us on LinkedIn, Blackstar Fund page, follow me. There's a lot of the information that people are interested in. We do a lot of posting, lots of great connections, lots of highlights for our portfolio companies and kind of stories in the industry. And that's really the best way to stay in touch with Blackstar Fund, our team, our portfolio companies, the things that we're doing. And we've got some exciting content that'll be captured this summer and coming out in the fall. So just excited to expand our network, get to know you, support you the best that we can, and help all of us with the rising tides, lifting all the boats so we can all be successful together.
You're an inspiration, Kwame. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jenna.